Welcome to the Mailvalet training videos. In this video, we will continue with the training on the application setup. In our last video, we covered adding, changing, and removing folders within email accounts. This video will cover adding, changing, and removing email routing rules, which will move incoming emails automatically to a specified folder and will assign a priority to them as they are moved. We left off last time with the app view shown here in the folder section. Now we will tap on Rules to perform routing rule maintenance. So let's tap on Rules. And again, the layout of the view is similar to what you've already seen with accounts and folders. On the left side we have three subfunctions for routing rule maintenance. And on the right side is the detailed information related to each function. So first, let's look at adding an email routing rule. Add is already selected. And rules are always added to a specific account, and as we've mentioned before, right now we only have one account configured, which is the Gmail account. We'll tap on that. And then we need to assign a name to the rule, which will be used a name that will help identify it easily for us to look at it and maintain it later on. For now, I'll just call this my test rule. You could use much more descriptive names telling what the rule is about, what kind of emails that it's moving, for instance, or assigning a priority to. Anything that you want to put here that will be helpful, we'll just use my test rule for now for the demonstration purposes. Okay, we've selected the account, we've put in the rule name, and now we'll tap on the next button in the upper right corner. And you'll notice that there are three general categories of rule information that are all parts of a given rule that we're adding. There is general information about the rule, which we'll see in a moment. There is also rule type and selection data for the incoming emails. It's the data that we will use that when an email comes in, we will see if this rule matches against that email using the data that's stored in the rule. That's what goes in this section. And then thirdly, there is a destination folder and priority. That will tell us what folder that the email is going to when the rule does match against it, and what priority should be assigned to it. You'll notice also that the color of the first category, Rule General Information, is blue, and that the bottom two are red. What that means is that most likely what we have done so far has left complete information in the Rule General Information category. There probably are no changes to make. For the rule type and selection data, the rule is incomplete. We still need to put some selection data in for incoming emails. And also the destination folder and priority we have not assigned yet, so we need to fill those in as well. I'm going to go ahead and tap the plus button next to rule generation information just so you can see what's there, even though we don't need to change it. So let's tap on that. And you'll notice that a rule ID is assigned to it, as it is to all rules, whether they're created manually like we're doing now or whether they're created automatically, which we will cover later on. Also, the rule name that we entered earlier is carried forward here, and you can change it again here if you wish. And finally, the account that contains the rule shows up here. That's all that's in this section. It's pretty simple and straightforward, and we don't need to change the name, so we'll just tap on the next button in the upper right corner to go back where we were. Now we'd like to work on the missing information, so let's tap on the plus button for rule type and selection data for the incoming emails. So once I do that, you'll notice that what we're trying to set now is the information that we'll place into the rule, so that when emails come in, that rule will be checked against the email, and the data that we enter here will be compared to see if there is a match with data that's in the email. If there is, then an action for this rule will be taken. The third category of rule information is the action that will be taken. It's the folder that we wanted to go to and the priority that should be assigned. Or in some cases, we may just want to delete the email, not put it in any folder, and that's possible to do as well. So let's go ahead. This is the information that you can use for matching. You can either have a sender email address, either full or partial. You can have a sender domain name. For instance, if it's johndoe@yahoo.com, you could put yahoo.com here, or a partial domain name as well. You can put the sender contact name, and what that means is that on your iPad you have a series of contacts, and often you have an email address that is saved with that contact name. You can do matching here for those contacts that are you have set up in your iPad. You can match on the name as you entered it in your contacts rather than the email address. If you would like to, you can match on that as well. So also the email subject. You can put all or part of the email subject and whether there should be a match on that. And it can be, again, just about all of these can be either all of it or part of it. Also, the courtesy copy email address. Similar to, you can do a match on either all or part of that address. Also, if a courtesy copy is going to a contact that is in your iPad contacts, you can put the name of that contact in here instead of an email address. If you want to match on an attachment file name that you're going to attach to the email, you can put a all or a partial name for the matching. If you want to look for any number of different attachment files that have a particular file extension, such as PDF for PDF files, you could put PDF here and turn that on. Note that only one of these choices is possible in a single rule. You can have separate rules with different data that would go to the same folder, but a single rule must have, it's mutually exclusive. There must be exactly one of these choices must be made. So for our example, I'm going to put in a domain name of yahoo.com. Notice that I automatically turn the switch on to enable that data. And what that's going to say is that any emails that come from a sender who is sending from some account at yahoo.com will match on this rule, and then whatever action we define for this rule is going to take place when the match is detected by the app. So and another thing as well, for partial entry, for instance, you could say John Q. Public at, and let's say I put star here instead of a particular domain name. You can also do that same kind of thing by putting a star at the beginning of any of the strings that can have full or partial. The star or asterisk is a wildcard character saying that they will match on any characters that continue on after the @ sign. So it's, for instance, it's looking at the sender email address that's coming in on an incoming email. And with the example that we have here, John Q. Public would have to be the sender name exactly as you see here, at, and then any domain name would then cause this rule to match against the email and for the rule's action to take place and send that email to the folder that the rule knows that it needs to send it to, and to assign a priority. Okay, notice that when I changed to show you another sample here, that it cleared out sender domain name, turned off that activation switch, turned this one on. And that's what I was telling you, that only one of the options per rule is allowed. So we can tap on sender domain. I'm going to put it back to yahoo.com without any wildcard characters. And now I'm going to tap on the next button in the upper right corner. Okay, notice that when we come back to the rule categories now, there's only one category that's still red. So the type selection data we filled in now, and it's ready to go. And the only thing left to do is to assign a destination folder and a priority when the rule matches on an email. What folder should it go to, and what priority should be assigned, or should the email just be deleted? So now I'm going to tap now on the plus button for destination folder and priority. And note that we have several choices here. We either can say, I want to delete the rule, don't send it to a destination folder. I could turn that on, and then I wouldn't have to specify a folder, and it wouldn't matter whether I had a priority or not. We're going to delete the email anyway. Another option is to send, if the rule matches against an email, send it to the trash folder. And notice that I automatically selected trash from the list of folders that are within this account in that case. Then we can assign a priority to, we'll need to assign a priority to it, none, low, medium, or high. I could just select something for it as an example. And then finally, we may want to send it to a folder that we created. Instead of sending it to the trash folder, I may want to send it to one of the folders in the list down here. Notice that we already have added, in the previous demo, we added the test folder ourselves. It's a folder that doesn't come predefined for the account, and we've added it ourselves and configured it for color coding and sorting. So I'm going to select test folder. I've turned on send rule matches to a folder, going to test folder, and I'm going to give it a high priority. And now I'm going to tap on the next button, and that's really all there is to it. The rule is out there. We have the information it will use to match against emails, and then what it's going to do with the rule when there is a match, and telling what folder it goes to or if it will be deleted, and what priority will be assigned if it's going to a folder. Alright, let's go back and see if we can find that rule. It should be out there. Let's tap on Change Email Routing Rule. Notice again that the rules are always within an account, so we'll tap on our Gmail account, and notice now that our My Test rule that is out there, the names of the rules show up here. When you tap on them, the details of the rule show up below. You may have a lot of rules in this list, and all the details about that particular rule will show up here. A little summary of that rule can be had by tapping on the little information button that as I'm pointing to now, and it's just a quick summary of what you see here. Okay, so in this case, if I wanted to change this rule to something else, I could select it as I have done here. I could tap on the next button in the upper right, and you'll notice that the rule categories show up again for this rule that we just selected, so that we can update the individual categories. I can go then and say, for instance, press the plus button for general information. I could change the name if I wanted to, tap next to go back, tap on the type selection data for incoming emails, and change the selection data if I want to, tap to go back. And then finally, tap on destination again. I can change where the email is going to go and what priority is going to be assigned, or if it will be deleted. And go back. As soon as I press those next buttons, the updates are taking place right away to the rules, and they are ready to use at that point. Okay, let's now look at deleting email routing rules. We'll tap on delete. Again, we need to choose the account that contains the rule. Notice that my test rule shows up there. If I tap on it, it will fill in the details of that rule to take a look at down here. And at the same time, we'll warn you, we're just about to delete the rule. It's irreversible. You'll have to re-enter it if you say OK now. And we will tap OK, and the rule disappears. So if I go back to change, tap on the rules. There's no rules that show up when I tap on the Gmail account. Same with delete. There's no rules that show up since that rule has now been deleted. In the next video, I'm going to demonstrate what actually happens when a rule does successfully match against an incoming email, and you'll be able to see when we open the folders in the regular email view, the color coding that takes place.